Hey, it's Dr. Linda Davis, and today I want to work through an assignment we've done in class on some basic PowerPoint. It starts out that way and then it gets a little more involved as we go through the slides. This is the Star Wars example that we'll run through for those of you that needed it for the day you missed class. So here we go. First three things we always do in a PowerPoint. We like to set the slide layout. So I'm in the Home tab. I've launched a new PowerPoint and I'm just going to go to Layout and select blank. Makes all those little pre-formatted boxes go away. The second thing I like to do is go to transitions and select the slide transition that we need for this one. On page 20 in your booklet, the choice is dissolve, apply to all. So dissolve may or may not be one of your initial ones, so just reveal the entire list, and dissolve is right there. Might be in a little bit different place on your own. And apply to all, very important, is that selection there. So that applies the dissolve slide transition to all your slides that come after this one. Alright, so we've done that. And the third thing we need to do is set the background. So we can go to the Design tab, and on this particular slideshow, it is a black background. So I'm just going to go into background. Yours version will actually say format background. So let me bring that up. And we want the picture or texture fill. It's the third one down on yours. And that gives us the ability to navigate to the file that we need and to actually navigate to the actual picture that we need. So if that was the case. Alright, so that's for picture one. This one's going to be solid, so we're going to just click the solid fill, and we're going to select black. Very basic black background for this. This is another instance where you will need to select apply to all. Now I realize my screen may look a little bit different than the one you have, but you can find the same selections. It just may look a little different. Alright, so I've said apply to all, and I'll close this out. So the first three things are done. And now we can set the title slide up the way it should be. I'm going to start inserting the graphics that we need, the text boxes, and that we need for this particular slide. The title graphic is just made up of two parts. It's two separate pictures. I'll go to Insert, Picture, and I'll navigate to the folder that has that. So the folder we're using is Student Common Folder, otherwise known as Drive S. We're going to go in there and go to my Davis folder and go to the CIS240 folder, which is there. I have lots of graphics in there, obviously. And what we'll do is we'll just go down to this particular folder called Star Wars Graphics for CIS240 for PowerPoint. I have more than one Star Wars graphics folder. So this is the one that's just for the PowerPoint. So when we open it up, everything you need is in here. So the Star Wars title graphic is actually called Star Wars, and it's the last item in there. So just click on it and then select Insert, or you can just double click on the image. It appears, and you want to drag it up to the top middle of your slide, and it's about the right size, so just leave the size alone. And then what we can do is bring in the second part of the title bar, which is this little creepy character called Darth Maul. There he is. We'll insert him. Now, he actually goes in the bottom right corner. He does disappear on a few slides, but we do start off with him on the first two. And I need to enlarge him. Now, anytime you have images on PowerPoint and you want to enlarge them, always enlarge or reduce the size, either way, from one of the corners. Never stretch from the sides or top and bottom. Always go from the corners because that keeps your image in proportion. So that's about the right size for him. Now, I also want to do the text box. This, like the program title, goes right here. So I'm going to insert a text box. And your mouse will change, allowing you to draw the text box. Now, before I start typing, I like to format that text box. So on this particular one, it's rather large. It's Times New Roman for the font. And Times New Roman is not readily available here without scrolling down a long ways. So my trick is to just go TI. Those are the first two letters in Times New Roman. And it brings it up much faster. You'll see it down here at the bottom. And the size is actually 66 points, so it's rather large. And the color is going to be yellow for the font color. So go to your font ribbon and seek out font color, and we'll make it bright yellow under standard colors. And so we'll type it. And I'm going to stretch the text box from edge to edge on the slide. Now, it's not centered, but it needs to be. So I'll use my keyboard shortcut for that. I can either click up here to center, or I can do Control E. E is an elephant. Control E. And that will center that on the slide. Now the last thing I have to put on here is a little text box that has the presented by and your name. So I'm just going to insert a text box there. And again, I'll format it. It's not very large, but it's Times New Roman again, which is now closer to the top. And the size is 24. And by the way, 24 point is the smallest size we should have in PowerPoint. I'm going to turn the bold on too for that one. And the color is going to be white for the font color. So we'll do that. And let me type in presented by. And you can just put your name in there. Now I'll stretch that text box out so it's just a single line there. Okay, so at this point everything's placed on the slide, and it's a good time to stop and save it. So you can hit Control S, or you can hit the little save button up here and just navigate back to your own folder on Drive I, and I'll navigate back, you know, to my folder to save it. And let's see, where's my current stuff at? Okay, there we go. So save it in your CIS101 folder. And you may say, well, what should I call it? Well, go down to the file name and just say Star Wars. And it automatically puts the .pptx on it. So that's the file extension for PowerPoint, obviously. And we'll just save it there to give it a good start. Now we must animate this slide. So that's what's wonderful about presentation software, is you can animate it, which makes it a lot more interesting. So go up to the Animations tab, and I'll tell you to go ahead and animate the animation pane, P-A-N-E. So bring that up, and that right panel appears on the right side to help you with your animations. So we start at the top. The title graphic should always be the first thing that animates. So on this particular one, they want us to do fly in from top. Fly in is actually one of the quick ones you can get to there. And if I reveal all of them, you can still see fly in there. I also use more entrance effects a lot of times from down here, but since this one is close, we'll just pick it, fly in. Now, the other part of this is the direction. I think on your screens it's kind of opposite. Effect options is on the other side of animations, and yours actually says add animation, actually, and then there's effect options. Okay, I usually go between these two. Anyway, so the direction, it should be fly in from top. So from top is down here. Direction's very important. So that's what we've got going on for that one. Let me just make sure that's stuck. Okay. Now, the other part of this is, when does it happen? Does it happen on the mouse click? Does it happen automatically when you launch your slideshow? And so this, now that it's in the animation pane, I can say start on click, start with previous, or start after previous. Well, this first item, and this is kind of a rule in PowerPoint, if on the very first slide, the very first item should always be set to mouse click, so you can control when your slideshow starts, which is very important. Now everything else on this title slide will be set to after previous. So the second thing actually is the other part of the title bar, which is the little Darth Maul character down here. And I will go ahead and set his animation. If you look in your booklet, it says for him to come fly in from bottom right. So I can go to add animation, fly in again for him. Now, as far as the direction, he should come in from the bottom right, which is your last choice on that screen. And you may say, well, okay, what start should he have? Well, I mentioned earlier that everything after the first item should be start after previous, just on the title slide. It's different on the other slides. Now, the third thing is the shoptrendytoys.com. This one's a little more to it than just setting a animation effect, so I'll show you. We'll start off with the animation we want for this, and we want dissolve in. I don't believe that one's part of your first ones. You do need to go down to more entrance effects and dissolve in. This is the entire list, by the way, of all the possible entrance effects. There's dissolve in. Say OK. And again, this one should be start after previous. Now I'm not quite done with this. I want to slow it down. I want to put dissolve in by letter, which slows it down a little bit, gives it more of a whoosh effect as it comes up on the screen. I'll show you a delay tactic to put in as well. So now that it's animated, I can tweak it some. So I'm going to go over here to where it sets and click on the down arrow, and I'm going to go down to effect options, and I'm going to go down to the effect tab here, animate text. Right now it's set to all at once, but I can click on that and I can change that up. I can go down to by letter, and that slows it down, but even putting a delay in larger than what they have helps too. So I want you to change the 10% delay between letters to change it to 20% delay. So change it to a 20, say OK, and that takes care of that. Now the last item is your name, and that one they want us to use box in. Okay, so add animation, and box is not one of your basic ones there, so go down to more entrance effects and you'll see box, second one down, and say OK, and it's box in. Now the direction, click over here. Actually in is the default direction anyway, so you don't really have to do that. So let's go over here. Now we need to change the start to after previous, and by the way, I'm going to make sure that I did that other one to after previous. Yeah, I did. Okay, so everything but the title graphic is set to after previous, or the main title graphic. So we're good. If I play this, I want you to see how it unfolds. So I'll hit the little projector screen button. I should see nothing but just the black background. And I click. And that's how it all comes in, and it's animated. Now, to get out of this screen, I want to hit escape on my keyboard. That puts me back into the edit mode. And then what I want to do is go into the rest of the slides. Now the other slides, we can go ahead and do this. We can go to slide 1, and in the slide sorter, that's to the far left, and I can make a copy of this. There's more than one right way to do this, but I make a copy of it and I can paste this one. Now slide 2, it doesn't look like slide 1. Some things are the same, so I want to keep what's the same and get rid of what's different. For slide 2, I do need this title graphic. It's on every slide. However, I do not need it to animate. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just get rid of the animation. It still will remain here. So if I click here, I can see where it is in the animation pane because it lights up. And I'm just going to remove the animation for the title slide. Darth Maul, he is still there also, but he should not animate either. So I'm going to go up there and remove him from the animation part. Okay, and the reason is if it appeared on the previous slide, like in this case slide 1, don't animate it again. Okay, that's a general rule in PowerPoint. Now the Shop Trendy Toys, okay, that we can use it. It's the wrong size, but my subtitle on this one is called Episode 1 Toys. So if I want to sit there and, work with that a little bit, I can take the font size back down to size 44. And I can just change the words to say Episode 1 Toys. Oops. Episode, yeah. And again, that should be set to after previous, which it probably is. And that's okay, because that's new. That hasn't been shown before, so that needs to animate. And the presented by your name does not need to be on here at all, so I can just delete that for slide 2. Now, the other thing that goes on slide 2 is some bulleted text that should dim. Let me bold that. I think I need to bold that. There we go. It looks better. Now let me insert a text box. I'm starting with a basic text box, but I'm going to do quite a bit with it. Now I said it was bulleted text, so bulleted text needs the bullets, and it's just a plain bullet, nothing fancy, but you do need to format it. So to format it, it's 36 point, it's Times New Roman, 36 point, bold and white. So that's Times New Roman, 36 bold, and the color is going to be white. And then I can start typing my first bullet. This action figures. And by the way, just to make sure you understand, your outline slide, which this is, it just kind of shows everybody what's coming up next in your slideshow. So I've typed in action figures, and if I hit enter again, I'll get a new bullet, which I need, because I need to say ComTech chip. Third bullet. Keep going, hit enter, sales of action figures. Okay, I need to stretch this out a little bit more. And the fourth bullet, scenes from the movie. Okay, that alludes to the little movie clip we're going to have that'll play from within the slide later on. All right, so I've got the bullets in there. Now, a couple things I need to do with the bullets. The bullets, they need to animate. Okay, I need to break them up into 4 separate mouse clicks, and I also need to set the dim color. So let me do that. I will go up and click on animations, add animation. Now for bullets, I always use blinds horizontal. I have to go down to more entrance effects to get that to happen. So there's blinds. I set it for the whole bit. Horizontal, that's just the default effect option anyway, is horizontal. Now that it's actually in the animation pane, I can click on the down arrow and I can tweak it some more. Now, bullets should always be on the mouse click because those are your talking points and you need to be in control of your talking points. So anything you need to be in control of, set it to the start to be on click so that when you are in charge of when you click and it doesn't start without you. Now go down to effect options. A couple things we need to do here. Under the effect tab, that's where we want to set a dim color. Notice it says don't dim. Well, that's your clue that you need to go in there and look at the choices. So we are going to dim it, and we need to pick a color that's an appropriate dim color. Now, there's basic colors. There's more colors here, which we'll actually go to in a minute. But let me explain appropriate dim colors. It can be different for every slideshow. You want a color that's not as bright as the font color, but still shows up on the background you've chosen. So in this case, if I have a white font color, like I do here, and I have a black background, like I do here, I want to pick gray, or a color similar to gray, because it'll still show up, but not be as bright as the main color. So I'll go to more colors. The whites, grays, and blacks are down here at the bottom. I'll just pick a gray. It doesn't matter if it's that one or that one or that one. Probably they all would probably work pretty well. Maybe I'll go with that one. And I'll say okay. And notice it puts that color in that box for you. Also, before I leave this screen, I want to go up to the third tab, which is the text animation tab. And this is how I break the bullets up into 4 separate bullets, or 4 separate mouse clicks, I should say. Right now, the text animation is set to as one object. Like, if I left it like this, all 4 bullets would come up at the same time. I don't want that though. I want to look at my selections or possibilities here. Now, this one is not that user-friendly. You just have to know which one to pick. I would pick by first level paragraphs. Select that option, say OK, and that will take care of breaking those up into 4 separate mouse clicks. So if I play this, let's say if I messed up anywhere, just hit the projector screen. That comes up automatically, and then I just click. I talk about the action figures. I click again. I talk about the ComTech chip, and you can tell that's gone gray. And I keep clicking, and that one went gray, and keep clicking, and that comes in white, and that one went to gray. And that kind of helps your audience keep track of where you are at in your slide, in your presentation on that particular slide. Now, I need to stop and save, obviously. And another thing I should have done earlier, but I didn't, but let me go ahead and do it. As we get into slide 3, I'm going to take slide 2 in the slides order. I'll just copy it and paste it. And I'm going to just delete what I don't need. For slide 3, I don't need Darth Maul. I don't need bulleted points on slide 3. And I can just change the words on this to be whatever. And actually, just kind of get rid of it for now. And I'll just show you my other little shortcut for this. So slide 3, all this is pretty common to all the slides, obviously. I can do this after, on slide 1 after I get the title graphic in there, but I can make a copy of this new slide 3. And I can just paste, 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 paste. And that will just, put 10 slides in there or whatever. And that just kind of gives you a real running start on getting it done faster. Now, like I said, I should have done that as I was starting to do slide 1, but I didn't. But anyway, slide 3. Here we go. Slide 3 on this one's a little more advanced. I need a subtitle, and I wanted to show you one of my little shortcuts here anyway. On my subtitle, I need a subtitle. Do I have a subtitle already? Already formatted? Already the right color? Yes, I do. If I slip back to slide 2, I will just grab a copy of the slide 2 subtitle. So I've got a solid line going around it. I'm going to do Control C to copy, and then I'll go to slide 3 and say Control V. And you might say, well, yeah, but that's not the title of slide 3. You're right, it's not. The title of slide 3 is Queen Amidala. But that's the cool thing. I can just change the wording, and it still copies over with all the animation effects. It was dissolve in, by letter, all that stuff. So we didn't have to recreate that. We did not have to invent the wheel again. We copy and paste where we can. Okay, so we've got Queen Amidala in there. I will lift this up just a little bit because I need the space. Now, she has an action figure. So we're going to insert the action figure. Let's see, that's that one. Okay, we'll pull that over. I want to put a frame around it. I like to put frames around these kinds of pictures. So format pops up and you have picture border as a possibility. So click on that tool. And I want it to be, I think gray is what I use on this one. So let's just pick a gray. Now you don't really see much on for the frame, but for the picture border, but you can go down to weight and up that a bit, which is kind of a thickness level. Okay, so 4.5 point is what I always recommend for PowerPoint. And then if you want to, on this one, since we're going to be doing the stacking technique, you want to animate as we go. So the first item's animated, this item needs to be animated, so let's go to animations and take care of that. All pictures mostly are wipe from top after previous. So I'll add animation. So I'll say wipe. The direction will be from top, and as it jumps over here into the animation pane, I'll change it to start after previous. And that's what I do to all my images. Now, the next part of this is a little text box here that just kind of introduces the character as to who plays that part. Now this is a bit smaller, 2 times New Roman, 28 point, and let's see, that is bold, I do believe, and white. Okay. So we'll have this little introduction here of actress Natalie Portman. And this is one, obviously this is on the older one, episode 1 is a long time ago, but we use it for a practice in class. Now, at this point, I need to animate this. That is going to be box in for our animation effects. Let me go to animations, box in. Okay. And it should be on click for this one, according to page 21 now. I'm on page 21. And what we'll do, this starts our stacking technique in here. We're going to insert a picture of her as the actress. It's called Portman Photo 2 in that collection of images I secured for you. Now, I'm not going to enlarge the picture. I know there's more room, but with the stacking, I need more room for the other 2 images I'm going to be layering on top. But first, let's take care of the border. I want to put that nice gray border on there again. There we go. And she needs to animate, so let's go and say add animation, wipe from top. Remember, it's a picture, and that's what I always do with pictures that are like that. And then it should be after previous. That takes care of the first set of our stacking technique. So her name would pop up and then a picture of her pops up. So her name is on click, but the picture of her is after previous. So the picture automatically follows her name. And you'll see in a minute after I do a couple more of these. Now I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go ahead and take that and just do a little shortcut here. I'm going to copy that little text box. I'm going to slide it over here. And let's see, there's a bit of an overlap. Let me pull that over there just a little bit more. Maybe that over there a little bit more. Okay. Now, this one, it came with animation because I did a copy of it, but I need different words here. This one is young new ruler of Naboo. And there's a picture that goes with that phrase. Okay, so I'm going to go up and insert that picture, which is, that's going to be the one in her gold and red headdress. Okay. Yeah, same person. Okay, so in costume, obviously. So we'll put a border around that. We will also animate and add animation. We'll use wipe. The effect option will be from top for that one. And the start will be after previous, just like we did for the other. Now we're going to do this one more time. And so I'm going to have, I still have that text box on the clipboard. So I think, there we go. And I'll just pull another one down. I did Control C, Control V, or just Control V because it was still in the clipboard. And then I'll change these words to reflect the third one, which is going to be attempts to save her planet. So it's just kind of telling a little story there. Let's move that over just a little bit more. Okay. And on this one, you can see it came with animation. It's all set. I just need the third image that goes with that little text box. In this case, the last picture you need is Queen Amidala picture 2, and then she's kind of in her purple and black headdress. And we'll bring it over. Notice it doesn't cover the previous images, so I'll just increase the size of it. Let me get down there where I can do that. There we go. And position it. And again, I'm going to put a border around it, so let's see how much gets hidden, and if I need to make it move it over just a little bit. Sometimes you just want to use your little arrow keys and figure out if you just want to make tiny movements, just use your arrow keys instead of your mouse. I think that covers it. Now I haven't animated this yet, so let me go animations, add animation, wipe, go next door, effect options, and say from top. And again, it's after previous. Okay, and that finishes slide 3. And that's the 3 I'm doing today, since that's the parts that some of the athletes missed because they had to travel and missed that particular class. So let me click on the slideshow button and let's check it out and make sure we did it right. So I haven't done anything except go into slide 3, and that's after previous, and that's after previous. Now click again. I talk about Natalie Portman. We have a text box on click and an image after previous. I click again. Next text box comes up, followed by the picture that goes with that. And then the click again, the third bullet comes up, or not the bullet, but the third text comes up with the last image. Okay, so that gets us through slides 1 through 3 for the Star Wars example that we did in class together. And we'll end it there for now. Thank you for your time.